So unbelievably, Indiana wins it all. What does that mean for Alabama next year?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me, Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. We'll talk about Game Time in just a little bit. I want to thank you everydayers for joining us every day because you know what? You've helped make Locked On the number one sports podcast network there is. Jimmy, you're going to have to move that microphone because it's rubbing up against your collar again.
Gosh, well, the collar is.
Or unzip it further, or take it off. Whatever you want to do.
But pass on that last option.
All right. So last night, Indiana wins the championship. I guess I was pulling for them because it's very difficult to root for Miami. If you saw how at least one or two of the players acted after the game, you would understand. And also, I mean, we sort of have a history with Miami. It's not a rich history, but a history nonetheless. And I was pulling for Indiana because they beat Alabama. So once again, Alabama loses to the team that wins the national championship when they don't win the national championship themselves. And, Indiana is also a good story. And I thought Curt Cignetti from the Saban coaching tree, as you know, said something interesting after the game. He said, our NIL is not as big as you think it is. That gives me some hope in that, when you look at Miami or you look at Texas or Texas A&M or Ohio State and you think, God, those guys are they got so much money and they're getting everybody. It does make me think, okay, chemistry is a huge part of this. And you can have the talent in the world. I'm a stars guy. I know that because Indiana wins it, everybody's going to say, oh, I'd much rather have a team full of 2 and 3 stars than a team full of 5 stars. You still need talent for the most part. Indiana is the exception to the rule, and I'm happy for them. All that being said, I still want more talent, but you also do need some chemistry. You need some togetherness. And I'm hoping that what this means is next year, in year 3 of the Kalen DeBoer era, where it looks like we're going to have the same 2 coordinators for next year, that perhaps there will be more cohesiveness for Alabama next year.
Yeah, well, one point, like Nick Saban said last night on the broadcast or on game day, Indiana may have signed – these may have been 3-star type players when they were signed to be college football players, but they're not 3-star players anymore. I think Indiana's talent is underrated, and that's going to show itself in the NFL draft, where I won't be surprised at all if Indiana doesn't have double-digit players drafted in the NFL and sort of outperforms a lot of schools on draft night. There won't be too many that have a better draft night than Indiana. So I think they're the talent. True, they were 3-star high school prospects, but once you become a college football player, your high school, your high school accolades, how many stars you showed up with, becomes a little irrelevant. I mean, at some point it's about how good you become in college. And I think Indiana's players did that. I think last night represents, Luke, a new world order. That does not mean that Indiana will now be an annual Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama type program. I don't mean that. What I mean is I don't think Indiana is going to be the last team that comes out of nowhere to play forward and win a national championship. I think Indiana is representative of all of the rule changes that have taken place in the last 3 or 4 seasons. The new rule changes were going to produce more parity and produce the possibility that an Indiana can win the national championship. Who's next? It could be virtually anyone. Kentucky, Minnesota. It could be anyone that plays Power 4 football can be the next Indiana with the right coach and the right collection of players. The days of the sport being dominated by just a handful of blue bloods, that's over. That's what last night represented to me, an obvious changing of the world order when it comes to college football.
I'm going to push back a little bit and say this, that I think everything returns to the mean. And I think that this is a unique situation because Cignetti is a badass, and he has had a plan. He is very good at getting his kids to believe in his plan. He had some really good players at James Madison who followed him to Indiana. The schedule has fallen right for them 2 years in a row, and frankly, they also, uh, while this playoff was entertaining, he didn't go up against a vintage Alabama team. They played who was in the semifinals that they played. Why am I blanking on it?
Who they beat in the semifinals?
Oregon. Oregon is sort of like they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And then they play Miami, who is, again, Miami got on a heater. There's no doubt. And they played them in Miami. And Miami's got more talent than Indiana. I believe that. But I think by that time, Indiana had become such a well glued together team that it was going to be tough to beat them. So they were also sort of a team of destiny. I'm not trying to discount them. I'm going to say, while Indiana did this, and this is nuts, I think, and I think everybody's going to look at it and go, okay, this means anybody can do it. I still think there was a series of random occurrences that led to this. And I don't think this is going to be more than, I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to do it per se. I don't think Minnesota's going to be able to do it per se. I think Indiana this is such a anomaly that it's just nuts to me. I mean, it would have been like had Butler won the national championship and one of those 2 times they went. I think it's just so out of bounds that it's not like back then everybody thought, oh, well, maybe some of these mid-majors will start winning more, and they really haven't. Now, some other Power 5 teams have that wouldn't necessarily have done it otherwise, like a Virginia, like a Baylor. But I'm going to say I don't necessarily think this means more Indianas to come. I still think what happens is that the big boys, the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, they look around and go, guys, we don't want to be losing to any more Indianas. So let's figure out what we need to do to get our advantage. And again, I think history has proven that, given Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State may have their lulls or their trips to the valley, but eventually they work their way back up because there's just so much passion and so much care. Whereas I think Indiana, sooner rather than later, will come back down to earth, especially once Cignetti, who's in his 60s, retires. And I think Indiana will move back, maybe not to the very bottom of all of college football, but they'll move closer to the bottom than they will be to the top again. Now, the other thing that I find interesting about this is what's it going to mean for future scheduling? Because as we know, Indiana's schedule this year, it featured Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. And then you want to say, well, Luke, they ended up playing Alabama, they ended up playing Oregon, they ended up playing Miami, and they beat and Ohio State, and they beat all of them. And I give them all the credit in the world. There's no doubt about it. However, what if they had played any one of those teams in the beginning of the year? Would it have changed something? It certainly could have. I mean, it's more difficult. It means you have to be a little bit more prepared. It doesn't give you a chance to maybe toy around with your lineup and find out who is the most synergetic with the rest of the team, if that's a word. But look at their next few years. 2026 next year is North Texas, Howard, and Western Kentucky. Then 27 is Kennesaw State, Indiana State, and UMass. 28 is Austin Peay, Eastern Michigan, and Miami of Ohio. 29 is Ball State, Eastern Illinois, and Western Kentucky. The first time they play what I'd consider a Power 4 team would be Notre Dame in 2030 and 2031. And they also have Indiana State and Delaware those days. So my point is if you're Alabama, I'm going to say it again. I don't know why you don't look at this Ohio State and Notre Dame and Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, all those games coming up and go, I'm not doing those.
Yeah, I think SEC rules require right now every SEC team has to play one Power 4 team in their non-conference, and that's a requirement. But heck, don't that doesn't mean you have to play Ohio State. I mean, I think Indiana is showing everyone the way, frankly. I mean, until the committee shows they will reward you for scheduling these tough non-conference games, don't do it. Because so far, I don't think the committee has shown enough evidence that they care. They care about the number in the win column, and Indiana has figured out a little bit in terms of how to game the system. No one is talking about Indiana's non-conference schedule. They are the rightful national champions. Absolutely, that's true, 100%. But no one's talking about that because, again, I don't think strength of schedule is something people care about. And there's no reason to make things tougher on ourselves than they already are. And yeah, I think Indiana's showing everyone the way, frankly, and we ought to listen and do the same. Had we played, Kennesaw State and not Florida State, season would have gone. Obviously, the committee wouldn't have held it against us. They would have said, "Well, Alabama's got another win." What did they hold against us? The loss to Florida State, and that affected seeding and everything else. So, I think Indiana's doing it right.
And again, you're right about the SEC saying that you have to play one of these games. And at first, I was on board with it because I wrongly assumed that the Big Ten would follow suit and some of these other teams would, and they haven't. And they appear that they're not going to.
Play Rutgers. Don't play Notre Dame.
Play Wake Forest.
Yeah. There's Power Four teams you can play that aren't Ohio State and Texas Tech.
The SEC ended up caving to political pressure. Y'all aren't playing non-conference games. Y'all aren't playing non-conference games. And we said, okay. And we said, we'll take it a step further. And then everybody's like, whoa. We didn't mean to do all that now. So
it'll be interesting to see if we stay at 12 teams. And right now it's looking like they're going to have to stay at 12 because the SEC and Big Ten can't agree on the expansion. So they stay at 12 if they can't agree, and the deadline is Friday. It'll be interesting to see if the committee lets in. SEC teams are going to have more losses. Adding that ninth game, the SEC teams will have more losses. Is that going to be held against the SEC when it comes to selection time? My answer is probably so.
And I'm totally behind the SEC on this. 24 teams is utterly laughable and ridiculous. I mean, you and I were good with 4. We could live with 6. I would stomach 8. 12 is getting a little nuts. 16 seems out of bounds, and 24 just makes the whole thing seem so irrelevant in terms of the regular season.
Can you imagine if a 2014 playoff happens and you're playing a tough game in September, and it's Alabama, Georgia in September? Who cares who wins the game? Who cares?
Doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter. And that's why it's absolutely outrageous that Big Ten wants to soften the sport up like it is and ruin the best regular season in all of sport.
Well, just to let you know, all I'm finding is the way too early top 25s. But I'm trying to see who would have been in the 25. Okay, so these are the teams that would have been in Iowa, North Texas, James Madison. Well, James Madison was anyway. Georgia Tech at 9-3, Virginia at 10-3, Michigan at 9-3, Arizona at 9-3. All those teams would be in. And
I guess is there anyone with 4 losses?
Yes, Iowa.
Okay, a 4-loss team in the playoff.
I mean,
that's something. Lose 4 times. That's a third of your games. You lose a third of your games and you make it in the playoff. Used to be you lost 1 time. You're like, we lost. I don't think we're going to win a national championship. We lost a game. Now you can lose 4 times. You go on a 4-game losing streak, still play for the national championship.
Well, and the thing is, they played nobody in the non-con. I mean, they played Iowa State, and I think they lost to them again.
I do think Iowa's losses, by the way, and I was pointing this out when Iowa beat Vanderbilt. Iowa did have a strange season. Their 4 losses, I think, were all to highly ranked teams in close games.
Except Iowa State.
They did lose to Iowa State. Well, Iowa State may have been ranked at the time of that game, but I'm not sure.
We're going to talk a little game time because it's awesome. There's nothing like college football season, as we all know. It just ended. But there's the tailgates, the packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it all, the energy, the bands, the moments you remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping up at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college football tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I opened the Game Time app to look at college football games, several times this year, and I was surprised to find how easy it was to find out where I'd be sitting, and the prices were unbelievable. I love being able to see the view from my seat before buying. I do that for basketball too. It's fantastic. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On College. That's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's Locked On College for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Jimmy Stein in there. Okay, Jimmy, let's talk about the roster countdown now. You've got a couple of new names on there.
Sure, just to do a couple today. We're behind on this, but the fun part will be catching up. But just a couple today. 55th ranked player on the roster, Caleb Smith. He's a transfer portal guy from Washington. Yet another guy from Washington. Boy, the last batch from Washington worked out pretty well. This is different. Caleb Smith did not commit to Kalen DeBoer. He actually was a Jed Fish commitment and signee up there. I have him down here at 55 for this reason. He was not a big-time prospect coming out of just a 3-star, didn't have any SEC offers to my knowledge. And then he went to Washington and didn't play. He just merely redshirted. So really, as far as in terms of what we know we're getting is a 3-star prospect that redshirted at Washington. So I can't rank him too high. But I think Caleb Smith is a good example of some of the fun mystery of the season at Alabama. What if he's good? He might be good. There's reason to believe he might be an impactful player. He's going to play the bandit position in Alabama, which is a spot where Alabama needs immediate help. He's going to be given opportunity this spring. He's got excellent size and speed and athleticism for the position. He's coming home. He's very happy. He's fired up about playing for Alabama. I think he's a little bit of a mystery player, and I'm not going to set the expectations too high. That's why he's down here at 55. But if Caleb Smith has a big spring and makes a charge at the first team rotation, I'm not going to be shocked, and I don't think we should be. So he's an interesting player. As a redshirt freshman, I would still say he's developmental. Probably it's more fair to expect him to be impactful in the future in 2027. But for now, quality depth for sure. And I think Alabama's excited to have him, and he's excited to be there. 54, also interesting, MJ Chirgwin. He has been on the Alabama team for 4 years. We've done this roster ranking every year he's been there. He's never been included because he was a walk-on. Now he's a scholarship football player. So we're going to include MJ Chirgwin on our countdown. He's playing a position, Luke, where there's 6 frontline receivers we have, and that they'll probably take up that first team rotation. Those 6 guys, I think we all know who they are: Ryan, Latsier Brooks, Noah Rogers, Derek Meadows, Rico Scott, and CD Morgan. Those will be the 6 main guys. I'm confident. MJ Chirgwin's behind them, but wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8 plays in the games. Most weeks they play in the games, and then they become prominent players in games where Alabama has a substantial lead. I think we're going to see MJ Chirgwin more than people think. He'll be out there, and tell you what, this guy can play. He caught one of Keelan Russell's touchdown passes last year playing, I think it was in the Louisiana Monroe game, where it might have been Eastern Illinois, that MJ Chirgwin caught a touchdown pass.
No, it was. I think it was.
Monroe?
I'm almost positive.
Okay, it was Monroe or Eastern Illinois, because those are the games MJ played quite a bit. Keep in mind, MJ entered the portal and was gone because he wanted to go somewhere and be a more prominent player in his final year. Alabama recruited him back out of the portal with a scholarship offer. Hey, MJ, if you come back, we will make you a scholarship player. That was enough for him to remove his name from the portal and return to finish his career in Tuscaloosa. He's from Huntington Beach, California. And again, his 5th year with the program. So he's been a true Gump, and rewarded with the scholarship here at the end, and a 54 ranking on our ranking the roster game we played.
Yeah, it was. I just looked it up. It was a 20-yard pass against ULM, and it was a beautiful throw from Keelan Russell. That's why, again, I look at games like that and go, that's why Keelan Russell is going to be our starter next year. Of course, I think I've missed who's going to end up being the starter for Alabama the last several years. I mean, I kept thinking Ty Simpson would take over a couple times. Then I thought, hey, look, it may end up being Keelan Russell this year. I mean, anyway, I'm not good at that. So I think
this year, I mean, right now, I think it's going to, for not really on the subject, but right now, I think it's going to be Keelan Russell. I just say with the caveat, those that are assuming 100% that it's Russell, no doubt, you might be surprised. I do think Austin Mack is going to push him to the point that I don't think a starting quarterback is going to be determined this spring or even well into fall camp. I think it'll be sort of the week of the game against East Carolina before Keelan, is named the starter, or they go into the games both playing. That's how close I think it's going to be. But my guess is it ends up being Keelan Russell.
Want to be sure everybody knows to join the Everydayer Club. Very simple. LockedOnBama.com/Everydayer Club. You get access to a Discord message board. Somebody on one of the other podcasts, an older gentleman apparently, said, I don't know what you're talking about, Discord. Do you mean discourse? And that Discord is actually like a message board thing. And you get access to that with the Everydayer Club. It's $5 a month, $50 for the year. That's couch cushion money. And you also get ad-free podcasts. So I would definitely look into it if I were you. And we'd love to have you. And the Discord page.
Club. That's cool. That's cool part. You're in a club.
Yeah. You get it's like having a members only jacket. I feel like now Asian Jimmy Michael Southern will be doing a meme with you and me both wearing members only jackets.
Okay, well, I would assume by now him and Garrett are running out of ideas. I assume by now.
Well, you don't have to do a meme. I can just send you one of my older pictures. I had it on. I mean, what do you want me to do?
I have one. I don't think I have one. I might have, but I don't think so.
Okay. So really quickly, ESPN announced they're going to do Nick Saban documentary, a 6-episode documentary. There's all this insider access, and my guess is there'll be a lot of stuff on there about his time at LSU. Then, of course, his brief time with the Dolphins, and then the majority, of course, will be Alabama. But I'm looking forward to it. It will be nice to reminisce. Because we're starting to get far enough away from his tenure that I can look at it with so much nostalgia now. And it used to be that I'm like, well, I don't want to soak in this particular year yet because we got a bunch more years to come. And now I'm realizing, what he did was so incredibly difficult. I'm appreciating it more and more every single day.
I wish they'd run it in the theaters. I mean, it'd be fun. It'd be fun to go to the movie theater to see this. I mean,
I bet you the movie theaters wish they'd run it in the theaters. Have you seen a movie theater lately?
I mean, I go to movies occasionally, and it would open up a big round. I do go to movies occasionally. I enjoy it. But when theaters go the way of the dinosaur, and we're heading towards that right now, to me, it's not the convenience of just having the brand new movie beamed into your house. It's the fact that when I go to the movies, I can't afford Coke and popcorn. Why do they do that? I mean, it's literally $20 to get a Coke and popcorn.
It's stupid.
$20.
Well, and again, and then you have all of Hollywood seemingly railing against the man when it's their $38 million a picture salaries that are screwing it for everybody.
I don't complain about the cost of the ticket. I mean, the cost of the tickets are.
But I mean, that's how the theaters make money, though, is they got to make money on the concessions. Because you can't make money on the ticket because they're like, hey, I mean, I can't charge somebody $50 to go to the movie. You know, so we got to charge you $50 on the popcorn. But anywho, I digress. And I used to love going to the movies. I just frankly just don't do it anymore. By the time you park a gazillion miles away, and then you walk up and you realize, oh, I can't even buy a ticket here. I got to do it online. Oh, and then I got to pick where my seat is, and it's always in the middle. No thanks. And then I look over there, and the people that bought it on the aisles didn't show up. I mean, give me a break. Welcome to Locked On complaining about
the
old
world.
people stuff. So the other
clouds.
So how about this? We talked about a poll from On3 coming out yesterday, and they had Alabama at 17, and you and I were like, wow, times have changed. ESPN has us at 21 for next year. Okay. I mean, look, call me a Bama. I mean, we've earned better than that.
Yeah.
We were in the playoffs this year. I mean, we
won a game. We
weren't nothing. I mean,
we won the SEC regular season.
Why
has that been diminished?
Putting us at 21 is essentially saying, I mean, we got to put you somewhere. I mean, come on. I mean, CBS has us at 15, and I'm like, I get that. I'm not on board. I think it should be a little higher. I think we've earned that respect, but I get it, because to me, I keep seeing some people on BOL saying, man, there's no excuses next year. The schedule's so easy. And I'm like, have y'all looked at Kentucky? Have y'all looked at Mississippi State? And have y'all looked at Vanderbilt? Those three teams, we're on the road. And any other year, I would say, thank you, Superman, for giving us this schedule. But next year, Kentucky did as well in the portal as just about anybody. Mississippi State is going to be better. They've shown that, and they gave Texas hell. And then Vanderbilt has beating us last time we played them there. So it's not going to be a layup.
And that 4-game stretch in the middle of the season, the
Tennessee,
Texas A&M, Georgia stretch is outrageous. So no, the schedule is extremely difficult. Not extremely difficult, but look, this is why I'm not upset about those rankings, because let's say the ESPN rankings, the lowest I've seen so far at 21. This is why Alabama's ranked 21st, and I think there's a good reason. If you are counting proven good players, that means they've played college football and have looked good doing it. They're proven good players. Alabama's defense returns 8, but that's it. 8 on the whole defense. 8. The entire secondary, the corners, the safeties, Red Morgan back at Husky. So that's 5. Beyonce Pierre is 6. I'm going to count London Simmons and Devin Tompkins as 7 and 8. And maybe I shouldn't, but I do think they're proven good players. That's 8. That's all you got on offense. It's worse. On offense, Michael Carroll at right tackle, proven good. Ryan Williams, Latsier Brooks, proven good. I'm going to count Noah Rogers. And if I'm wrong, I mean, Rico Scott or Derek Meadows or C.D. Morgan are going to be. So I think all 3 receivers are fine. So the 3 starting receivers and Michael Carroll. That's it. That's it. That's the whole offense in terms of proven good players. 8 on defense, 4 on offense. I understand being ranked 21st looking at that. That makes perfect sense to me, that a team that I just described as having only 12 of the 22 being proven good players. But this is why they're wrong to rank us that low, because these other spots that don't have proven good players, it's Alabama. They're going to be good. They're going to be good players that maybe the national media is unaware of them. Heck, maybe some of our own fans are unaware of them. But I think Alabama is going to put good players on the field at quarterback, at tight end, at these other offensive line positions, at the inside linebacker position. Caden Jones, no one has heard of him. He's good. He's going to be good. That's why they're wrong to put us at 21. But hey, if you're ranking teams based on who's returning proven good players, I get why Alabama wouldn't be in the top 15 or 16.
Okay, that's fair. That assumes everybody else is returning a lot of good, solid players. And they're not. I mean, yeah, Alabama lost their quarterback. However, it didn't seem to bug people ranking Ohio State very highly when this year they were breaking in Julian Sayin.
Yeah.
And Alabama's bringing in essentially number one player in the country from a couple of years ago. We think he will start. My bet is Alabama's running game is better next year than it was this year. I mean, it can't get worse. It's about as bad as I've ever seen it.
Don't say it can't get worse, but I agree with you that it will be better. Again,
I just think it's sort of
the emphasis of the offseason.
It's just sort of popular right now to crap on Bama, which, okay. I mean, I don't love it because I'm a fan, but I get it from a bird's eye view because we've been living the high life for a while. And so people have been waiting for us to fall, and they're, just I love seeing Alabama decline. And I get that. I mean, I love seeing Miami decline. I love seeing Notre Dame decline. I love seeing, I've loved seeing Duke decline in basketball, things like that. I mean, but when you're a fan of it, you're like, hey man, I get you diminishing us to a degree, but I mean, going from, perennial top 5 team, no questions asked, to 21.
If you're putting us at 21, you're ranking teams ahead of us that Alabama plays. So you're sort of saying that Alabama's an 8-4 or 7-5 football team. I mean, in terms of the number of teams ahead of us in that ESPN thing, because obviously you play Georgia, LSU, Texas A&M.
Well, and I don't mean to cut you off. You know who they got in their way too early top 25 is number 1?
I would probably Ohio State, but I would
put Indiana. They lose the Heisman Trophy winner. They lose.
That's insane.
They lose the center who's awesome. They lose the running back who's great. They lose Surratt.
A ton of not just players that are going in the draft, seniors, a ton of them. They'll have practically an all new lineup, and Josh Hoover replacing Fernando Mendoza. Now, look, if Curt Cignetti has Josh Hoover winning the Heisman, let's just go ahead and build a statue of Cignetti and put it in front of the White House or something. I mean,
let's just put it right. Then he say,
Josh Hoover's a good player. Josh Hoover's a good player. I'm not saying he's not good. I think he is good, and he's going to be good. But I think ranking Indiana at number 1 to me is nonsensical, though I do believe they will be good. As long as Curt Cignetti's their head coach, Indiana is going to be good, make the playoff level good, but ranking them number 1 ahead of Ohio State or even Texas, who I would put up there pretty high, and Oregon returning Dante Moore.
So you bring in Josh Hoover from TCU. Guess where they have TCU? Number 20. They have the Washington Huskies at number 19. They have SMU at 17. Iowa at 16. Iowa at 16. When's the last time Iowa was – again, and maybe I'm also a big proponent of you got to factor in the schedule. I think our schedule is Herculean next year. But, you're talking about TCU ahead of us, and you're like, well, Alabama doesn't have a quarterback resolved. TCU lost their quarterback to Indiana.
And if Alabama play, the thing about that ranking to me is silly. If Alabama played TCU to open the season, Alabama will be favored to win the game. So I'm not exactly sure about TCU.
100%. Again, I'm not. It's silly to be mad about it because we don't even know who's left in the transfer portal for people to get. So we don't even know. They got Miami at 8. If they get Mensa like everybody thinks they will, then I would put Miami like top 3. So it's silly to get upset about this, but it does feel like I'm taking it personally, and I shouldn't. So, all right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.